Hold on! Look at this photograph one more time. This photo was taken by the camera at the gate for the studios, correct?
Yes, sirree, Sonny.
So whenever anyone passes by here, it automatically takes a picture?
And here I thought you didn't know your head from a hole in the ground.
Right. Anyway, it's also true that the computer in the guard station records all security cam data.
Oh, you know, if you wanted to work at the studio, we might have an opening.
That very computer printed out this photo. Note that on the back of the photo are printed the words, October 15th, 2 o'clock p.m., photo number 2.
Even I know that it means it was taken at 2 o'clock p.m. on October the 15th. Really, Sonny?
Actually, I knew that too. The issue here is the bit at the end where it says, photo number 2.
Photo number 2?
The computer only held data for one photo on that day. Don't you think that's odd? Shouldn't this photo be photo number 1 if it were really the only photo?
Order! Order! Please tell the court what you mean by this, Mr. Wright.
Actually, that's what I want to ask the witness. This evidence shows that not one, but 2 people went to the studio that day. Yet there's only data for one of the photos. Who could have erased the data for the other photo? Only someone with access. The security lady herself.
You watch your mouth, whippersnapper. The only person I saw that day was Will Powers.
But the camera on the gate fired twice. That means 2 people went by.
Well, yes. That's what it would seem to mean. Can the witness explain this to the court? I don't understand these newfangled computer things. Edgy boy, help!
Huh? Believe me, I want to, but I don't know what this means either. He doesn't pull some nonsense out of thin air. I appreciate that, Edward.
Some health you are. You're a whippersnapper too. Whippersnapper? Something the matter, Miss Oldbag? Ah, that's right. I just remembered something. Let me guess. Someone else passed by the gate. Someone other than the Steel Samurai. Well, yes, I suppose you could put it that way.
Yeah, the computer's in a secured spot. Definitely, see it. It's not like people can just casually get in there and access it and steal evidence whenever they feel necessary. But I guess I should stop calling it stealing evidence at this point, because that's just how trials are conducted in this world, so...
I see. Your testimony, please.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, Turan. Like, when is the camera cleared? Like, people walk to the studio for the run-throughs earlier, and, like, does it get them both ways? How are there only 2 photos? I don't even...
Every day, after I finish my guard duties, I have one other important job to do. I go through the photos recorded on the security computer and check them. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking, you see. Come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one photo that day.
Miss Oldbag, this is the first I've heard of this.
Well, of course, Sonny. I've only just remembered it. Right. Anyway, Mr. Wright, please begin the cross-examination.
Well, I'd say this was a turn for the unexpected, but I kind of expected this. How exactly do you determine what isn't suspicious looking?
Oh, you can tell by looking at their faces, for the most part.
For the most part? This is a murder trial, Miss Oldbag.
Well, I didn't touch that suspicious-looking Will Powers photo, did I?
I think she's missing the point. Well, who the heck was in that photo you erased?
Herf. A fanboy.
Fanboy?
Steel Samurai fanboys. Real freaks, if you ask me. They get information about the rehearsals from gosh knows where. They're always hanging about. One was there that day.
Wait a second. Didn't you just say no one else could get in? I locked the main gate so no one could get in. Those were your words.
Well, if you must know, there's a drain that goes into the employee area. The grate has been loose for a while. It leads outside, well, that's where they come in.
Lock the gate. They come in through the drain?
I told you they were freaks. No, and they're kids. Children. Whippersnappers.
Kids? So, on that photo you erased?
It was a boy. Probably 2nd or 3rd grade.
What? Oh, 3 taps this time.
Order! Order! Let me get this straight. You saw 2 people pass by the gate on their way to the studios that day. One was the Steel Samurai, dragging his leg. The other was a boy who looked to be in about 2nd or 3rd grade. Oh, yes. Well, we see his type there every day. Can't stop him. Can't catch him.
A boy in 2nd or 3rd grade? I assume it would be hard, if not impossible, for a young boy to wield the samurai spear?
Impossible, I think. It's quite heavy, because in this world we use actual weapons as movie props. Right. As I said, I didn't pay him much mind. That's why I erased the data.
Nick? What's going on? I mean, the boy was there. That makes him a suspect.
Yeah, and they're already trying to unsuspect him.
I'd like to take a 5-minute recess. I want the defense and the prosecution to consider this new information. And I want to go get a candy bar. No forgetting vital information this time.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, ZZT. Real freaks that aren't supposed to be there are definitely not the suspicious type. So, man, we're only in court for an hour and 8 minutes. We're already taking a break. 11:08 a.m. Defendant lobby number 3. Mr. WP. Alright, find his voice again. Yes? Tell me straight. Were you really in your dressing room? You didn't go to the studio. I didn't go to the studio. I was sleeping. Honest.
So who was the Steel Samurai in that photo?
How should I know? The Steel Samurai costume was off in the corner of the dressing room. Anyone could have walked in and taken it, really.
What? You should take better care of that stuff.
I couldn't imagine anyone would want to steal a Steel Samurai costume. So, where does that leave me? It doesn't look good. You're the only likely suspect right now.
Nick, what are we gonna do?
First, we play for more time. We'll start targeting someone else that could conceivably have done this.
Right. And it'll take them so long to shoot us down that we can get another day.
Right, but if we pick the wrong person, we might lose on the spot. Hey there, Saturns. You don't sound very optimistic. I'm not optimistic at all, actually.
Hey, Nick. It's time.
Okay, let's go. What does that mean? Please don't sigh like that.
The court will now reconvene for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. Mr. Edgeworth, will you present the prosecution's thoughts on this matter?
The prosecution's thoughts are simple. Nothing has changed. The other person who went to the studios was a boy of roughly 10 years of age. The photo we do have may or may not be hard evidence. But there is still no one else that could have committed this crime. It's still jarring to me, though, the juxtaposition here of how suddenly, like, a single vague photo is not hard evidence anymore. Like, that is jarringly different. Like before, it's just like constantly, I saw like a bag flying in the wind, so that means they're guilty. Like that's basically what we had in the first two cases. I call for a verdict of guilty for the defendant, Mr. Will Powers.
Very well. Mr. Wright, your thoughts?
The defense disagrees with the prosecution's claim. There is another person who could have committed this crime.
Order! Interesting. Let us hear who you have in mind. However, be aware that this court does not look kindly on accusing the innocent. Bullshit! If you accuse someone who is obviously innocent, you will be penalized.
Right, great. As if the stakes weren't high enough, I might lose one of my exclamation point symbols.
So who is this person other than Mr. Powers that could have committed murder?
I mean... yeah, it's probably Edgeworth. Interesting. So, the security lady was there, but she didn't pass through. The assistant girl was in the area, never left, I guess. It was me! I'm a sham! Security lady or assistant girl, huh? Because the boy can't carry the spear. That's been established. And it was the same spear, I guess? It was submitted by Gumshoe, so it should be the same spear. They didn't, like, actually clarify that nearly as well as I would like, but, oh, there you go. Church confesses. So, we just, bake him away, toys. Yeah, the Great goes into the employee area. So getting to Studio 1 would still go through the camera. But obviously the assistant was there and didn't have her picture taken for reasons. And the security lady would have had her picture taken if she walked from the gate. So I guess we have to, temporarily frame the assistant girl? It's possible she was involved. She, well, she was rooting for Mr. Powers, though, so therefore, just by default game logic, she, was innocent, but... I don't even want to keep... It was the assistant. The Steel Samurai costume was in his dressing room. She stole it, and in doing so, she became the Steel Samurai.
So you're saying the Steel Samurai in the picture is really the assistant?
That's correct, Your Honor. If you're serious, you've got guts, Mr. Wright. Well, I learned from you. Remember the photo. Wasn't the Steel Samurai a little lame? He was dragging his foot. Oh. So, oh, that's why it's the security lady instead, I guess? Because she knew about it and the assistant didn't. But then why didn't the, oh, because that... Obviously. Never mind. Uh-oh. Bad feeling time. Should probably not slam on my, my headphone cord. Remember the testimony concerning Powers' injury.
Powers and poor Hammer were at the run-through. Oh, and me.
What about the assistant?
Oh, her? She was cleaning up backdrops, I think. She didn't know about Powers' ankle.
Yep. I was thinking of a camera, like, I don't know how she's on that side of the studio without the camera taking her picture, though. That's what doesn't make any sense. The assistant knew nothing of Mr. Powers' injury. She could look the Steel Samurai look with that costume. But she couldn't walk the Steel Samurai walk. She wouldn't have limped.
That kind of takes the legs out from under that case.
Mr. Wright, I'm afraid I have to remove one of your exclamation points. Go ahead and accuse someone else.
Nobody knows the troubles I've seen.
May we move on, Mr. Wright?
This fight isn't over yet. If you would, Your Honor, one more chance, please.
Very well. Go ahead. So who was this person, other than Mr. Powers, that could have committed murder?
It was the security lady, Wendy Oldbag.
Who?
The Steel Samurai is dragging his leg in this picture. That means whoever was in the suit knew about that morning's injury. Maybe because they had been watching the action scene run through. There was only one person other than Powers and Hammer who knew about the injury. The security lady, Oldbag.
What? Whippersnapper! Order! Order! Is this true, Oldbag?
What a worthless question is that?
Oldbag? That's Miss Oldbag to you?
Miss Oldbag was standing guard alone at the main gate. She was by herself. In other words, she has no alibi. She could have briefly left her post to steal the Steel Samurai costume. Then slipped into Studio 1, the scene of the murder.
Why would she go through the trouble of wearing the Steel Samurai costume?
Simple, Your Honor. She knew the camera at the gate would take her picture. If she was in his costume, she could point the finger at Mr. Powers.
I see. Excellent deductive reasoning, Mr. Wright.
Oh my god. Well, he's like 20, right? I guess that's... Oh yeah, right here. Sherlock Holmes #2, baby. That's odd. Isn't this the part where Edgeworth pounces? Doesn't he usually jump up with an objection and some new damning evidence?
Well, Mr. Edgeworth, Does the prosecution have an opinion on this matter?
The prosecution has no meaningful objections at this time.
What? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, so you all think I did it? Is that it? Edgy boy, don't just sit there. Do something.
What's my move? Maybe now's my chance to take this a whole new way. Or take this the whole way. Hey there, just do. We're basically stalling for time. That's the main thing we're trying to do here, right? So I guess pressing further is the best way to stall for time? Although, just like sitting where we're already at is fine, like why do we need to press further right now? Actually. I feel like it's trap because it's always a trap. And, well, we haven't tried it yet, but it's always been correct to not. But I mean, we're in a good spot. Like, why do we need to press further? That we're just gonna like accidentally unveil more evidence and back ourselves into a corner. Hey there, Pooh. I mean, we can react. It completely feels like a trap. I mean, it's a chat saying press further, but this, like, makes the most logical sense to me, so that's the option I'm gonna pick, is, we're gonna give her a break. I guess this does kind of make it look like she's the killer. Funny. I feel bad for her all of a sudden.
It's true that the witness could have conceivably committed this crime. Yet we must not forget the victim was an action hero. As formidable as her personality may be, I doubt she'd be strong enough.
Why is Judge being, like, competent in all situations now? Like, both sides. Judge is, like, super competent in this case. Like, it's very, very different. No. If he removes her from consideration, that means Mr. Powers is it. Sorry, Windbag, but I don't have a choice. The very same reasoning that makes Mr. Powers a suspect in this case can be used to cast doubt on Miss Oldbag's actions on that day.
But why would I do something so horrible to poor Hammer?
You forgot that Mr. Powers lacks a clear motive as well.
Indeed.
That did it. Now Windbag is one of the suspects. No hard feelings, I hope.
Oh, you just accused me for murder, whippersnapper. I don't mind one bit. Wait just a minute! What about the other person who went to the studio? The boy! The one whose photo I erased! He's only a grade schooler, though, as you said. Second or third grade, was it? That doesn't matter. When I was that age, I could pin my old man in 10 seconds, tops. Your thoughts, Mr. Wright?
That boy is not the killer.
What? How can you be so sure? Oh, or is it be nice to the kids and mean to your elders day? Whippersnapper.
I have proof.
Proof? Indeed. Then let's see this proof, Mr. Wright. You have proof that shows the boy could not have committed the murder.
Well, I've got a badge. I mean, he would need a card key to get in. How much of that is costume? I don't know. Like that, the arms look real. I don't know. So either present the heavy spear or the photo of them carrying the spear, and either, like, both of those should work, right? I mean, for one, they're limping. The boy would have to somehow have known about that, and, they're carrying the spear. Like, photo has multiple pieces. I like the card key, too, though, actually. But, like, all of these? Like, all of the above. I like the card key the most because it, like, makes you think the most, but it's not what the game wants, probably? So, let's start with that. Your Honor, the murder weapon was the samurai spear. That very spear is shown here in this photo. How could the boy have taken the spear? It's impossible.
I see. Well, would the witness care to comment on this?
The windbag. Speechless. This has gotta be a first.
Very well. This court will suspend proceedings on the current trial for today. Mr. Edgeworth, please find out more about your witness, Miss Wendy... What was her name?
Something old bag, Your Honor.
Then the prosecution will look further into this old bag before we continue. That is all. The court is adjourned. Wait a second!
What is this music now?
I'm not gonna just sit here while you run off barking up the wrong tree! Me? I'm talking!
Oh, great. Stop the presses. The windbag wants to talk.
Miss Oldbag, what is this all about? Have you omitted something from your testimony? Actually, if you must know, there's something I was told not to talk about.
Not to talk about? By whom? Because usually that's my job. Huh? You mean it wasn't Edgeworth who told her not to talk?
Well, testify. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet about something. There were some other people at the studios on the day of the murder. They said they had nothing to do with it, see? So they told me to just pretend they hadn't been at the studios that day. But if you're going to go accusing me, I'm not letting them get away scot-free. Miss Oldbag, this is crucial information. Why did you keep this from the court until now? Hey, you've been listening?
That was a completely different voice.
Ain't you been listening? They told me to shut my trap, and I always do what I'm told.
No, this isn't a bad dream, Your Honor. Witness the power of the old bag.
Mr. Wright, your cross-examination.
Does the card key actually work, Turan? Nice. So that probably means the spear works as well, so probably 3 items work there. I'm glad the card key works, too, because it makes perfect sense. But there's definitely been, in the first 2 trials, or at least one of them, situations where things make sense to present, but that's not what the game was expecting you to do, so they don't count, and it's sadness. So I'm actually very happy to hear that the card worked as well. So, you were told not to talk.
That's right, by the studio and TV bigwigs, no less.
Why didn't I hear about this?
Don't be too hard on yourself, Sonny. We were all in on it.
Who are the other people? Who were these people?
Well, the director and producer, for starters.
The director? We should have known something was fishy. How could they have done a run-through of their action scene without a director? Of course.
Yes, well, I was surprised no one asked about it.
So, where were these people?
The director was in the employee area all morning for the run-through. He joined the producer around lunchtime, and they had a meeting after that.
Where?
Oh, in the Studio 2 trailer.
Studio 2? Yes, there's a Studio 2?
Well, if you look at the guide map, here it is. You go through the gate and all the way to the left.
Path where the monkey's head was fallen over.
Well, Mr. Wright, would you like to continue the cross-examination?
I think I've already asked all my questions, but there's like one more thing to answer. Yeah, let's talk about all this. I don't care. Miss Oldbag, this is a trial for murder.
I know that's silly. Still, they were pretty convincing about having nothing to do with it. And they gave me a little bonus on the side.
So, you got your bonus and you still talked. I think I've asked all the questions I have now. Keep going. I guess there's no harm in getting as much info as I can. Was that everything? I thought there was another line. Oh, there was. It's just not important.
Nick, I guess pressing her was the right thing to do, even though you tried not to. For an old windbag, she sure likes keeping secrets. Let's get as much information as we can.
No, we're done. I guess there's one bit of text, so we might as well do that one. Oh, that advances. I just want to press at that point. Them? Who were these people?
Well, the director and producer that I already told you about.
Okay. We are in fact done. Objection! Look at this badge. Your Honor, we have learned that there were others at Global Studios on the day in question. The director and the producer and some bigwigs were all present. Yet, as we stand here, Squirrel is resubscribing to the channel and we should thank him for his continued patronage. And they have not been questioned yet. I hold that it is impossible to declare a verdict on the defendant, Mr. Powers.
The court acknowledges the defense's point. The prosecution will gather more information about the witness, Miss Oldbag, and more information about these other people we have just been told of.
That's not the I guess it's the prosecution's job. Greetings, Squirrel. I understand, Your Honor.
This ends the day's proceedings in the trial of Mr. Will Powers. That is all. The court is adjourned.
Greetings, Capito. "1:04 p.m. Get a chat with Will some more. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. I was right to ask you to defend me.
Oh, really? It's nothing. Hmm? Or should I say...
We'll be going down to the studios to do some more investigation. We have to find out more about this director and producer. They'll be turning up in the next trial as witnesses for certain. So now's my chance to get material for the cross-examination.
So, Nick, have we figured out just who it was in that steel samurai costume? Could it really have been old Windbag?
What do you think, Mr. Powers? I don't think it was her, really.
Neither do I, Nick.
Yeah, I know. Look, I was just buying time back there. Someone had to be the bad guy for a bit to take the pressure off Mr. Powers.
Poor old Windbag. I feel kinda sorry for her.
Well, she wasn't winning any points in there, with or without my accusation. Okay, let's get down to the studios.
Right. We'll be back to visit you soon, Mr. Powers.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. To be continued.